great to be back here at Pinecrest. I guess it's great to be anywhere, huh? But especially among friends. And I look around the room and actually I was having a flashback sitting here. It was right here. We had a debate back in 2004. Keith, you were moderating that and did a nice job. I think it worked out pretty good for God. But anyway, so a lot of fond memories here. And I'm always tickled when I show up and people know I'm coming and they come anyway. I mean, that's such a treat. But thanks. Also, is a good month for people to get back home. And in fact, bring up immigration. Obviously, that's a big issue. But the polling data we've seen had indicated it wasn't the biggest issue. But one of the things we do need reform. We need to reform our immigration system. We need to reform our visa system. There are a number of things we need to do. And I'm okay. We have farmers and folks come in from California and Texas Valley. And they say, look, if you want to keep having your vegetables and your fruit, and by the way, lunch was great, good stuff. But, and I'd like to keep having fruit. I'm a big fruit fan. Somebody said, well, you are one, but no. But I'd like to keep having that. But there are ways to deal with it. I'm okay with even having the temporary work visa. But one of the proposals that I put into a bill was that, okay, but the reason so much of this labor is so cheap is that we're subsidizing by paying for their health care because they go to the emergency rooms and everybody else picks it up. So it ought to be a requirement to get a visa. You should have to have proof that you're covered by health insurance, either you individually or the employer you're going to work for is going to have an umbrella policy to cover you, so that the employer that hires you actually does pick up the tab and everybody else isn't subsidizing that cost. So there are a lot of things we could do, but this is what I keep coming back to. Until we secure the border, we're still going to have the same problems. They're not going away until we control who comes in. Now, the FBI director has confirmed more than once that we know there are radical Islamists that change their names to Hispanic-sounding last names. They come to Mexico and get an ID, and some of them even learn a little bit of Spanish so that they can try to act as if they're Hispanic. Why? Because we don't have any fear of Hispanics coming into the country, but we've got concerns about radical Islamists, so they don't want to trigger any fear factor so they can keep coming. Three things that were just really important in making us the greatest nation in the country that unfortunately I don't think is necessarily true today, but for most of our history, most Americans, generally speaking, had a faith in God, they had a devotion to family, and they had a hard work ethic. I want this country to go on for another 200 years. But if we don't have respect for and adherence to the rule of law, it doesn't make it. It doesn't make it. And things that we're seeing develop are a little scary. People are upset about the IRS, over 60%. They're concerned about the IRS coming after them unfairly. Because let's face it, even if you're at the far left end of the political spectrum, when you see the IRS weaponized to go after conservative groups, and yeah, there were a handful of so-called progressive or socialist groups that were originally targeted, but every one of them got approved. There is no equality between the hundreds and a handful, and the hundreds that did not, they kept dragging them out. They wouldn't deny them or approve them, because if they denied them, they could appeal it. But even if you're at the far left end of that political spectrum, you have to understand you won't always have a president who's on the left side of the political spectrum. You will eventually have a conservative back in there. And if you say it's okay to use the IRS as a weapon, then you can sure count on it being used against the liberal left when a conservative gets in there. And my position is it should never be used in that way. One of the things that happens when you stand up to your own leadership in your own party, like I do, and I know, I'm sure there's some people here, there's some, virtually every group that I talk to, hear from, you know, really, you ought to just try to get along with your leadership. I don't think that represents the opinion of most of the people I represent.
You're right.
And what I found out is the only detrimental aspect to speaking truth to your own leadership is you're not going to be a chairman of a committee. I mean, Jeremy mentioned I'm vice chair of crime, terrorism, and homeland security. I was ranking member for four years, which means normally you're automatically chair if we take the majority. Vice chair means when the chairman's got to go to the bathroom, I move over in the chair for him. But the other downside is they're not bringing a bill to the floor that is a big deal with my name on it. I'm okay with that. Back to Benghazi, getting to the bottom of that so we don't have another successful attack on our embassies. And because we haven't gotten to the bottom of that, now we have to close embassies and run. You have no idea the kind of damage that does to this nation's credibility when we try to stand up against terror, when they now know all we got to do is circulate some rumors. We know they're monitoring. We get them to shut their whole embassies and run like, and I use the word coward in national media, and I stand by that. That's the way we look. And it should not be. But right now, we're at that crossroads that Robert Frost talked about. And we either continue down this road of weakness, overspending, massive deficits, uncontrolled borders where people come in at will, many to do us harm, and we go away like every nation does eventually. Or we've got a chance to get us back on track. And it will make the difference in generations to come, whether they rise up and call us blessed, and this is what motivates me, or they rise up and curse our names for not fixing what the gift that we were given. So I hope that we can say with Robert Frost, I shall be saying this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that's made all the difference. Thank y'all very much.